Over the past decade or two, super teams in the NBA have become the new norm, and it usually is a recipe for success, as we've seen the Warriors and the Miami Heat win multiple championships over the past 10 years with a super team. But a lot needs to go right at the right time to win an NBA championship that not even some super teams are prepared for. And every once in a while, teams nobody gives a chance to win the NBA championship due to there being better teams or just their roster not looking good enough end up winning it all and surprising the whole NBA world. In this video, I'm going to be going over the top 5 most unexpected championship runs since 2000. Cue the intro. At number 5, we got the 2021 Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks had just finished back-to-back seasons as the number 1 seed in the East and were looking like a dominant force in the Eastern Conference. But after losing to the Miami Heat in 5 games in the Eastern semis in 2020, a lot of people had doubt that Giannis and his team would ever work. Going into the 2021 season, the Bucks acquired former All-Star Jrue Holiday from the Pelicans in a 4-team trade. With a player like Jrue Holiday being the player they needed with his defensive presence at the guard spot, good 3-point shooting, and his underrated playmaking. Even with this addition, many people weren't considering the Bucks as serious title contenders with their recent playoff struggles. They would finish 3rd in the Eastern Conference with a 46-26 record behind the Sixers and the Nets. They would face the Miami Heat in the first round, the team that humiliated them the year prior in the playoffs. After Chris Middleton hit a game-winning OT shot to open the series, the Bucks coasted on from there, completing the sweep against the Miami Heat. They would go on to face the Big Three Brooklyn Nets with KD, Kyrie, and James Harden in the second round. The Bucks would catch a huge break though, as Harden and Kyrie would both get hurt in the series, and it was all on Kevin Durant to carry the Brooklyn Nets. But the Bucks closed out the series in a very entertaining 7 games to advance to the conference finals. They would go on to play the 5th-seeded Atlanta Hawks, and they would split the first 4 games 2 apiece. But with Giannis injuring his ankle badly in Game 4 and going on to miss the rest of the series, there was a lot of doubt whether this team had a chance to finish the series or even compete in the NBA Finals. But they would finish off the Hawks in 6 games and go on to play the Phoenix Suns in the finals. Giannis miraculously returned to the lineup in Game 1 after what looked like a horrible ankle injury. The Bucks would lose the first 2 games in Phoenix, and being down 2-0 in the finals is never a good thing. After a big Game 3 win, the momentum in the series shifted towards the Bucks and they never slowed down, winning 4 straight games and winning their first NBA championship in 50 years. It was a very tough playoffs and finals for the Bucks, but finishing off the year with a championship after the recent playoff struggles over the years, and everyone counted them out saying Giannis would never win a ring, and with a tough Eastern and Western Conference, this one had to make the list. At the number 4 spot, we got the 2019 Toronto Raptors. The Raptors had just been bounced out of the playoffs by the Cavs for the 3rd year in a row, and even though Toronto was first in the East that season with the Coach of the Year Dwayne Casey, changes had to be made. As they traded DeMar DeRozan to the Spurs for Kawhi Leonard and fired Dwayne Casey and promoted Nick Nurse to head coach, the Raptors would finish the 2019 season with the 58-24 record, which would result in 2nd in the Eastern Conference. So you guys may be asking how this team made the list with a roster of Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, Norman Powell, and even Fred VanVleet. I'm sure you guys can tell this is a very deep team. This was also during the same time the Warriors had just won back-to-back championships and just added DeMarcus Cousins to an already super team. Everyone had the Warriors as title favorites that season. Even though LeBron joined the Lakers in the West after 4 straight finals appearances against the Warriors with the Cavs, it was still looking like no team in the East had a chance against this juggernaut of a team, the Warriors, unless if injuries were to occur. But nonetheless, the Raptors made easy work of the Magic in 5 to start the playoffs. In the second round, the Raptors would face the Sixers with the looks of Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, and even lethal sharpshooter JJ Redick. This was one hell of a series, definitely one to remember. This series would go down to a Game 7 winner by Kawhi Leonard at the buzzer to send the Raptors to the Eastern Conference Finals. They would go on to play the Giannis Milwaukee Bucks. The Raptors would drop the first 2 games on the road, but win a double OT thriller in Game 3 at home. The Raptors stole all the momentum from the series after that Game 3 win and went on to win the next 3 games of the series to advance to their first NBA Finals in franchise history. They would go on to play the Golden State Warriors. And remember when I said only injuries to this Warriors team would give their opposition any hope? Well, that is exactly what happened, as KD would miss the first 4 games of the series with a calf injury, and when he did return in Game 5, he was looking like he was never hurt to begin with. But in the second quarter of that game, KD would tear his Achilles and miss the remainder of the finals and all of next season. Klay Thompson would also miss Game 3 of that series, and then tear his ACL in Game 6 and be ruled out of the season. The Warriors roster fully collapsed due to injuries, and the Raptors took full advantage of that. They never took their foot off the gas pedal and took down the back-to-back defending champs Golden State Warriors in 6 games to win their first title in franchise history. Even though Toronto had a very solid team, this championship run surprised everybody as the Raptors dealt with humiliating playoff loss, taking massive risks in the DeMar DeRozan-Kawhi Leonard trade, and firing their head coach right after he won Coach of the Year. But the Raptors did the unthinkable and had one of the most memorable, unexpected championship runs of all time, and they take the number 4 spot on this list. At number 3, we got the 2006 Miami Heat. The Heat had just lost to the Chauncey Billups Detroit Pistons the year prior in a very tough 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. But with this dynamic duo of Dwayne Wade and Shaquille O'Neal, the Heat knew they would have another shot the following season. They would finish the season with a 52-30 record and second in the Eastern Conference, behind Dwayne Wade averaging 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists at just 24 years old. Shaq went on to average 20 points and 9 rebounds, but with him only playing 59 games during the season, we were starting to see a decline, especially with his injuries. The Heat would make easy work of the Kirk Hinrich and Ben Gordon Chicago Bulls in 6 games in the first round, and then took care of the J. Kidd, Vince Carter, Richard Jefferson New Jersey Nets in 5 in the second. The Miami Heat went on to rematch the 64-win Detroit Pistons, the team that beat them last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. But this time, the Miami Heat would take a commanding 3-1 series lead and close out the series in 6 to head to their first NBA Finals. They would go on to face Dirk Nowitzki's 60-win Dallas Mavericks, and the Mavericks were heavy favorites as they had the better record with a more experienced team and were clearly proving it, easily taking a quick 2-0 lead against the Miami Heat. However, though, in Game 3, the Mavericks would have a huge double-digit lead in the fourth quarter and were looking to take a commanding 3-0 lead. But D-Wade was not going to let that happen, as the Miami Heat took the lead in the final minute and won the game after Dirk Nowitzki missed a game-tying free throw. The Heat were a hair away from going down 3-0, but D-Wade's 42-point win in Game 3 got them a massive win and would take all the momentum from Dallas in the series. The Heat would easily win Game 4, but in Game 5, that would be another barn burner, as not only did D-Wade hit the game-tying midi to send the game to OT, but he would hit 2 game-winning clutch free throws on top of his 43 points to win the game 101-100. The Heat had just won 3 straight games at home and were now heading back on the road to Dallas for Game 6. And would you believe it, the Heat went on to close the series in Dallas and win their first ever NBA championship. D-Wade would finish the series averaging 35, 8, and 4, just incredible at 24 years old. But not only did the Heat win the championship as a 52-win team, but they beat 2 60-plus win teams on the way and did it with only one superstar in Dwayne Wade. With the Miami Heat not even being considered to have a chance to win the championship to upsetting 2 60-win teams, the 2006 Miami Heat had to make this list at the number 3 spot. Number 2, we got the defending champs 2022 Golden State Warriors. After their 2019 loss to the earlier entry on this list, Toronto Raptors, their dynasty looked all but over after KD and Klay both got hurt and KD went to the Brooklyn Nets in free agency. In 2020, the Warriors finished with their worst record in the league with only 15 wins, and the very next season in 2021 would just make it short of the playoffs, losing to the Memphis Grizzlies in the play-in game. The Warriors had just missed the playoffs for 2 straight seasons, and even though Klay missed all of those 2 years with injury, nobody expected the Warriors to be back at the top of the Western Conference competing for a championship in 2022, maybe besides Stephen A. Smith. But the Warriors were definitely back in the title picture, but they were definitely not favorites over teams such as Phoenix and Milwaukee at the time. As Klay returned in the middle of the season, and the Warriors had their big 3 back for the first time since their finals in 2019, they were finally back at full strength. The Warriors would finish the season with a 53-29 record, which would give them 3rd in the Western Conference behind the Suns and Grizzlies. They would be matched up against the 6-seeded Denver Nuggets and the back-to-back MVP in Nikola Jokic in the first round. They would make easy work of the Nuggets in 5 games and go on to play the Memphis Grizzlies in the second round. With the names of Steph Curry and Ja Morant, this series was one to be watched. The Warriors took a 2-1 lead, and with Ja Morant getting hurt and missing the remainder of the series, the Warriors took full advantage of that and finished off the Grizzlies in 6 games. The Warriors went on to play the 4th-seeded Dallas Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals, as the Mavs upset the title favorites Phoenix Suns in a crazy back-and-forth 7-game series. The Warriors never took their foot off the gas pedal, as they finished off Luka's Mavs in 5 games and were heading right back to the NBA Finals. Here they would face Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's Boston Celtics, and this was one hell of a series. The Celtics made an epic comeback to steal Game 1 in Golden State, but the Warriors never gave up. Being down 2-1 going into Game 4 with the Warriors on the verge going down 3-1, Curry went superhuman and dropped 43 points in a Game 4 win to even the series at 2 apiece. The Warriors went on to win the next 2 games and finish off the series in 6 games to win their 4th championship in 8 years. Curry went on to win his first Finals MVP and his 4th ring after everyone thought their dynasty was over, and the Warriors did the unthinkable and proved everybody wrong. Number 1, we got the 2011 Dallas Mavericks. The Mavs throughout the Dirk Nowitzki era were always a dominant force in the West, as they lost to the earlier entry on this list, the 2006 Miami Heat in the NBA Finals. But with Dirk being 32 and noticeably on a little decline, many people weren't giving the Mavs a chance to win the 2011 championship at all, with the Miami Heat's new big three in the East, the Lakers and the Spurs still dominating as usual, and a young up-and-coming OKC team with KD and Russell Westbrook. The Mavs roster in 2011 featured star players such as Jason Kidd, Jason Terry, Dirk Nowitzki, Shawn Marion, Tyson Chandler, and even Caron Butler, who unfortunately got hurt during the season and missed the playoffs. The Mavs would finish the regular season third in the Western Conference with a 57-25 record behind the Lakers and the Spurs. They would handle the Trailblazers in a very entertaining 6 games in the first round of the playoffs, and then face the back-to-back defending champs LA Lakers with Kobe and Pau Gasol in the second round. To the surprise of absolutely everybody, the Mavs would steal the first 2 games in LA and a commanding 3-0 series lead after a close Game 3 win. And to add more insult to injury to the Lakers, the Mavs would dominate the Lakers in Game 4, winning by 36 points to send the Lakers home and kissing their three-peat goodbye. The Mavs would go on to play the OKC Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. And also, if you were wondering about the Spurs, who finished first in the West with 61 wins, they got upset by the 8th-seeded up-and-coming Memphis Grizzlies in the first round in a very entertaining 6-game series. That upset was just as shocking as the Mavs sweeping the Lakers, to be honest. But the reason I brought that up is because the Spurs destroyed the Mavs in the first round of the playoffs last year, and were big favorites to at least make the finals. But going back to the Mavs Thunder Western Conference Finals series, the Mavs would win in 5 games to head back to the NBA Finals and would face the new Big 3 Miami Heat with LeBron James, D Wade, and Chris Bosh. At the time, nobody was giving the Mavs a chance, as the Heat won 58 games and steamrolled their way into the NBA Finals. And early on, it was looking like what everyone predicted, as the Heat were 7 minutes away with a 15-point lead from taking a 2-0 series lead. The Heat and Mavs would trade clutch shot after clutch shot, but the Mavs stole Game 2 in Miami off a game-winning layup by Dirk Nowitzki, tying the series at 1 apiece. The Mavs would lose Game 3 at home and go down in the series 2-1. But this was when all the momentum in the series would turn around, as Dirk would keep remaining clutch, as he would hit another huge bucket in the dying seconds of Game 4 to seal the win, tying the series at 2 apiece. Game 5 would be another barn burner, as it would come down to the final minutes. Jay Kidd and Jason Terry hit a pair of clutch threes to secure the win and take a commanding 3-2 series lead heading back to Miami. And to the surprise of everyone, the Mavs pull off the upset in Game 6, winning 105-95 for their first championship in franchise history. With all the odds against them, Dirk and the Mavs won their first and only NBA championship, with Dirk taking home the Finals MVP. In the year nobody counted them to win, facing a super team in the Finals where nobody gave him a chance, the Mavs pulled it off, and it's why I give them the number 1 spot on this list for the most unexpected championship run since 2000. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys think any other team should have made this list, drop it in the comments below, drop a like and subscribe for more content just like this one, and I'll see you guys in the next video.